Intercountry Committees and Rotary. This is something that is becoming a huge topic. The last president of Rotary International made this as one of his signature projects. And I'm going to take only about 2 minutes and we're going to turn it over to Greg. But it's all about outreach to the world in a very new and different way for Rotary International, even though this has been around shortly after World War II. France and Germany were the first two to have an intercountry committee, and that only been like 5 years after World War II. So this was a really major move forward as far as looking at peace. And this is something, Bill, that I just know it's near and dear to your heart and all the members of our club. But the whole thing of the ICCs is really to expand the outreach of Rotary, recruitment, programming, international understanding, communications, and then something that Rotary Central has really emphasized is projects, particularly the ICCs, regionalized, actionable, and collaborative projects for peace. And this is something that is going forward. Now, if I can get to the next slide. And featuring Russia, they, along with the about 200 other countries that are in the world of Rotary, are part of the 7 areas of focus. And the reason I'm putting this up again is because of the environment and how this is becoming a natural partner, no pun, Bill, to world peace. And so these two have just fused together very nicely since we have it. We're looking at one of the zones. This is in Siberia. They just had a major convention this last weekend. And so Rotary is really expanding, and you can see the symbols. There's now 127 clubs in Rotary. Last 2 years ago was only 77. So the Russian Rotarians are very active on membership and trying to expand in all the cities and regions of Russia. And as we all know, that is a huge country. But if you would be in some of the meetings that they have there, and I have attended some of the Rotary meetings in Russia in the past, they're really, like here, strong on education, leadership, service, networking, and of course, fun is one of their mottos that they've actually added to the 4-way test. Is it going to be fun? And this is from this last weekend. There was 58 people that attended this regional conference. They had another 50 on Zoom. And this is something that's showing the strength and the willingness to expand. And the gentleman in the front with the name tag on is a co-director for District 2223, which is the all of Russia, and he's from Sweden. And so the projects and the dynamic of world of Rotary in Russia is very internationalized, and they have over 20 either friendship exchanges or ICCs itself. This goes back to how we really get started. I can see Lynn on my screen here, Lynn Hollick, and thank you, past President Lynn. She really helped get us launched as far as our club was concerned, going back to 2019. Not only did she say, yes, we can host the Russian delegation that came over for the international conference, but I'll be glad to host 2 of the ladies that are coming over. She did a fantastic job, and it really helped to establish what was going on. This is a scene from Barton Goldenberg, who was the district governor of that year for 7620, and he's now the official representative from 7620 to the RussiaUSA ICC, and is very active. And Barton, we really thank you for your leadership. These photos were shared with us by Carmen. She's the one that took the opportunity to just say, we're going to have the international conference in Washington, D.C., and we'll start inviting people. It's kind of like we'll offer it and they will come. And it certainly happened that way. She's the past district governor of one of the districts in Texas and past president of the RussiaUSA ICC. And she's right in the middle of this photograph. And our good friend from across the river, Alexandria Club, and this is David Fishman, was part of that group as well. So David, thank you for your leadership. This was at Hillwood Estate. Bill Busker is our resident docent there and gives great tours. And this will give you an idea of the mix of the Russians and the Americans for that event. And just gives you an idea of the people that hopefully will be meeting this coming spring. Carmen's going to be setting up, along with Greg and other members of the RussiaUSA ICC, a trip, hopefully April, May, is being discussed, depending on COVID. And these will some of the people that you'll actually meet over there. So I wanted to give that quick introduction, and we have Greg Bartz. Greg is the current president of the RussiaUSA ICC. He's already here with us, doing a great job. Stan Miner is also here. He helped to really expand the work that Carmen did during her year. So this group is expanding in members and activity almost on a month-by-month basis. But Greg is from the White Bear Lake Rotary Club in Minnesota, which is Rotary International District 5960. And Greg, thank you for being here. Thank you for being your president this year of our RussiaUSA ICC. And we look forward to hearing to what you have to say, and then we'll have a Q&A afterwards. So about 15 or 20 minutes, Greg, and then we'll do a Q&A. And again, thank you for being here. And thank you for all of our international guests from the African continent and other places that are here today. Thank you, Greg.
Spasiba, Dr. Sam. Dobre Ultra, Dobre Viecha, Dobre Adin. That translated was thank you, Dr. Sam, and good morning, good evening, and good day. That'll be the extent of my Russian, because that's about all I know. My experience here, this is fascinating for me to, and thank you very much for the invitation to be here. And it's really fun today to see some of my cohorts from the ICC on today, Stan, as well as Shab is on today too. And Shab is our newest member. He is from district, he's our new district representative from 5300, our very newest. We've got 14 districts represented in the RussiaUSA ICC, of which he is the newest. What are ICCs, I guess? And again, for me, it's just, when I step back and think about my relationships with my Russian friends today, I'm always amazed at how this happened for me in my life. The ICCs are Rotary Intercountry Committees, and these are Rotarians around the world that have an interest in a specific country in addition to their own. So you think about Rotary in general, and to hear you guys talk about your membership, this is great too, because I'm the past district membership chair in 5960. So I'm all about membership. So for those that are new here and proposing for new membership and new members, let Rotary, explore Rotary. This will open doors that you have no idea that are out there through Rotary. And that's really what happened for me. It was at a Rotary meeting, and well, back to the definition, I guess, the ICCs. What I'm going to suggest to you is I had no idea that I would be connected to Russia as I am today, 17 years ago, when I had an opportunity within Rotary. The ICCs are made up of your country and another country of Rotarians. Rotary is us. We are Rotary. Without each and every one of us, you don't have Rotary clubs. Without Rotary clubs, you don't have Rotary districts. Without Rotary districts, you don't have Rotary zones. And without Rotary zones, you don't have Rotary International. Each and every one of us is Rotary. And it doesn't matter what our language is or where we live. So what I would ask of you guys is just think about this. What countries do you have a specific interest in for whatever reason? And start there. And there could be another ICC or start a new ICC. Maybe there's one already established. We can help you find one if you would like, or if you just want to start on your own, just do it. And it's about the relationships. Rotary in general, life is about relationships. For me, my Rotary relationships and friends are invaluable. In 2007, I had 2005 rather, I had a fellow Rotarian from a club, neighboring club in my district, come to my Rotary meeting And on a Wednesday morning, he says, I need some help driving some Russian judges to the federal courthouse in Minneapolis on Friday. Could anybody help me with that? And I raised my hand. That moment changed my life. That simple little, sure, I'm available, check my schedule and it works, and I'd be happy to do that. And it sounded intriguing. I hadn't been to the federal courthouse in Minneapolis. And I thought, okay, this is a great opportunity to check this out. Anyway, I drove 5 Russian judges down to the federal courthouse in Minneapolis with an interpreter and a facilitator that traveled with this group. They were part of the Open World Leadership Center at the time, and they were a delegation of judges that were here for 8 days in tents to learn about a judicial system in this country. It was fascinating. That was my initial experience. The following year, the Rotarian from this neighboring club contacted me and said, hey, I've been contacted by Open World and they want me to host another delegation. And I don't want to do it, or I'll help you do it, but would you like to take the lead on this? And it was a group of physicians. My wife is a medical professional. I thought, yeah, that sounds like fun. I'll try that. Sure, let's do it. So I signed on and I took the lead the following year, 2006. I've hosted groups ever since then, every single year. And along the way the program was set up, there's an evaluation at the end, and I was pretty honest with the Open World staff in Washington, D.C., and that these delegates came from all over the country. And it was difficult for me because I didn't speak the language to establish or maintain a relationship that I had created over that 1 week that the delegates were here. Wonderful experiences, and then they would go back and that would be the end of it. So I was kind of critical of the program one year after having hosted a group of women as leaders. These were young ladies that couldn't be over 25 years old. That was the category or the theme of the group. And it was a lot of work with these young ladies. They had all sorts of fun things that they wanted to do, and I just didn't have the energy to chase them around. Wonderful experience. But after that, I thought, you know what? I still don't have a connection here. So my review of the program was, you should get these delegates coming from the same communities. And if they're coming from the same communities, I'll have a better chance of finding somebody who can interpret. We can get into a more meaningful relationship and maintain, and there could be some sustainability to some of the projects that we've talked about while they were here and those types of things. Well, what's what happened then the following year in 2009, all of a sudden I was assigned a group from Krasnoyarsk, Siberia. And these were special education professionals that were assigned to come to Minnesota. And in that group, they had embedded a Rotarian. That woman who came along came with an invitation to go to Russia in the summer of 2009. That's what really helped, was the Rotary connection. And I was able to persuade a couple other Rotarians to go with me, and I made my first trip to Russia in 2009. From that, we've really grown our relationship with one another. So now we have the ability through Rotary and the connections we have within Rotary to get in some meaningful work and things into projects that are sustainable and helping people. We're service above self, and we are all about helping others in the world. So today, that was 2009, 2010 came, and we were assigned another delegation from the same community. We got into some meaningful work through the University of Minnesota, where I have some connections, and 2 different universities in Krasnoyarsk, Siberia. And from there, I've been able to get some staff from the University of Minnesota to go with me to Russia. And there are things that have happened because of me raising my hand one day at a Rotary meeting and said, yeah, I can drive some judges. Sure, I've got time. There are people with disabilities, adults with disabilities, and employment opportunities in Russia that have benefited from me raising my hand that day and saying, sure, I could do this. So for me, this is, it's fascinating. I have friends all over Russia because of that one specific, simple little, sure, I can help. So the ICCs now, so I didn't get involved in the ICC. Our ICC, the RussiaUSA ICC, was started in 2007. So this is about the same time I started getting involved in Open World. And I don't know how I heard about the ICC, or somebody heard about it and told me I should sign on. And so I joined this group about 8 years ago, and I've been a part of the group. and talking with my fellow ICC members, just getting a feel for who they are and what their connections are. We all have a story, and we all make our own way, and we've got fascinating stories. And what's been really fun with the Russia-USA connections that we have is each of my the other directors from the United States, we have common denominators in Russia that are fun. They're just fun. I've had people in my home, Russians in my home, and I can call somebody and say, hey, we had a conversation here over a glass of wine. They say they know you. And this is Stan in Seattle or whomever. And I've had the opportunity to take my family to Russia, which is something I wouldn't have ever thought of. And my youngest son has been to Russia a couple of times, and my wife's been there. We've also been banned from Russia. In 2014, I was denied a visa. I should say, I didn't know I was denied a visa. I was in Russia in 2014 and had an experience that was in violation of our visas. We had tourist visas, and we were at a wedding, and we ended up going to a meeting at Krasnoyarsk State Pedagogical University, which is in violation of our visas. I didn't think much of it. I didn't realize it was not an official meeting in my mind, but technically that's a challenge that we have in our ICC. Visas are a problem for both Russians to get here, more so than it is for us to get to Russia today. But I didn't realize I was banned until 2018. I had the University of Minnesota faculty had a grant that they had secured, and we were on our way, and we were planning to go. I was hoping to go, taking some parents with children, adult children that have disabilities, to talk with Russian families in the same situation about employment opportunities and how you can value people with disabilities and employment opportunities. And anyhow, at the last minute, I was denied a visa, and it went back to the experience I had, unfortunately, in 2014. And the only reason I bring that up is that this is a difficult, unfortunately, relationship for us to be productive, but it's worth every minute. And the extra efforts we have to put into it because of our relationships with our Russian friends, I wouldn't trade it for anything. But we do have to be compliant, and when we're working on projects, we want to make sure we're following Russian Federation rules and regulations regarding transfer of funds through grants and those types of things. So when I talk to other ICC groups here in the United States, be it USA and Ukraine or France or Germany or whomever, I'm envious, because they can get involved in projects easier than we can. So what are we doing then? I guess, what can we do? A variety of things. I know that we have Natalia Verdina is on, and that woman has been all over Russia, Armenia, and Georgia over the last 3 months installing peace poles. She's a member of our team. She's a director, and what she's doing is fabulous. So we've each kind of taken on our own little passion, and with any project, you got to have a champion, you have to have follow through. So she is the champion. I know that Larry Stroper's on also, and Larry and I have gotten to know each other initially through his peace pole. He's kind of the ringleader of peace poles in the United States. He and I have, he's gotten his grandchildren involved in a new program that I've introduced, getting young people, young Russians, and young Americans via Zoom. This is easy to do in today's world, to talk to each other and get to know one another and befriend each other. And if we're looking for world peace, how can we do that better than that? Get young people talking to each other and understanding. Let's see, how much time we have here? I'm watching my time. For me, and where this whole idea came about this, I'm calling it, we got to get a title for it. I'm going to go back to the kids and ask them. We had a call on Saturday. We've had 2 of these calls. I've got a half a dozen kids in Russia and a half a dozen kids in the United States, ages 12 to 15, that have signed on. And we are meeting monthly right now to introduce kids to one another and get to know each other a little bit better. So I'm recruiting. We could be anywhere in the world, and I'm recruiting more young people. So if you have a son or daughter, a grandchild, a niece or nephew that might be interested in getting a conversation via Zoom to talk to kids from elsewhere in the world, specifically now it's Russia, but I could see this growing to include other kids from around the world. Let me know. Shoot me a note, and I'm putting this together. Stan had mentioned earlier about a grant opportunity. The U.S. Embassy in Moscow has got funding for $7,500 grants, and the title of the grant program is Rebuilding Russian-American Conversation. And that's exactly what I was doing. So we heard about this thanks to David Fishman brought this to our attention, and Stan's considering this, looking at opportunities to use those funding for peace polls. And I'm looking at an opportunity that we may have through the University of Texas, Arlington, to expand what they're doing with Russian and US college students on a lesser level, more informal with younger kids. This is my call out to look for more younger kids. I don't have, my kids are 29, 27, and 21. They don't have any kids of their own yet, and I'm looking for kids that fit the 12 to 17 age bracket.
Greg, if you can wind up, we have about 1 minute, and then we want to have a short Q&A, okay?
Sounds great, yeah. So anyway, I guess my leave with you all is, especially the new people. This is, like I said, you had a half a dozen people here that are new to your club. Get involved, raise your hand, say, sure, I can do that, because you have no idea where it will take you in the Rotary world. It's fascinating. With that, Sam, I'll open up to any questions.
My question is simply, I've been reading a lot about Russia is really taking a tough stance toward NGOs lately, and I wondered if the Rotary chapters in Russia were experiencing any of this.
Yes and no. I guess we are one NGO that the Russian Federation, thankfully, is not shut down. It's a bit of a challenge. And as I mentioned too, as we try to get engaged and want to be involved in projects, we got to make sure we're compliant. It's vital that we are, you know, and not jeopardizing our relationships. So yeah, it's disheartening. You know, Ukraine, then it was Kazakhstan, and today I read Belarus. You know, as Rotarians, we're non-political. We're not a political organization. We need to make sure we remind ourselves of that. It's kind of difficult sometimes, but we need to respect the Russian government and their rules, and but continue to reach out to. I would never trade my relationships for anything with my Russian friends. So anyway, John, you know, it's again, and I was calling you out. Yeah, welcome to the club here. And you and I are fellow Rotarians. You're welcome in my home anytime. White Bear Lake, Minnesota. I'm looking out at the frozen lake, and it looks kind of like Siberia, frankly. But the summer, stop by. I'd love to have you.
I was just wondering if you could tell us a little bit more about the Peace Pulse program and how are they sustained? And is there an education program attached to it?
Yes, there is, May. And I think that Dr. Sam's pretty well connected, so he can probably get you that information. But Larry Strober is on. And I had Larry invited him to talk with my club a few months ago about the Peace Pole program. Where do you buy them? What are they all about? The history, that kind of thing. And my club has purchased 3 Peace Poles. Unfortunately, we didn't get them here before the ground froze in Minnesota. So we have them in a holding pattern, and we will be installing those in 3 strategic areas of our community next spring. But you do have a couple people online here that can certainly help you acquire, educate you a little bit more on the program, and I would recommend inviting Larry. So Larry, if you could get that information out, that would be great.
Well, it's sort of been answered already that we will try to continue. I'm just wondering whether the Russian government, or for that matter, the American government, will let us do anything with Russians if they do invade Ukraine and the sanctions that everyone has promised to take effect. You could speculate, I guess, on how it will work out, but probably none of us really knows.
Yeah, to be honest with you, I have no idea. And again, I'm trying to stand clear. Nobody's happy about it. My Russian friends aren't happy about it either. Time will tell. It's again, I think I'd mentioned that we need to stand clear of politics, but I have an opinion also. And this whole thing is the ability for Russians to get visas to come here is difficult now because the embassies in Russia have been shut down, and they don't have staff to process visas. So a lot of my Russian friends have to leave the country to go to a different U.S. embassy somewhere else in the world to get a visa to come here. Well, on the other hand, we closed down some. I think we actually started it. We started closing embassies in this country prior. Back in the Obama term, I think our Seattle embassy was closed under his watch and his recommendation, and it's gone back and forth. So it's just, David, it's just disheartening that this has happened. So it's even more and more important for each and every one of us that have friends in Russia to make sure that we show them support. Personally, I've got friends that I know that we met elsewhere. I've been skiing in Japan with my Russian friends. I was supposed to go sailing in Martinique at the end of this month with a Russian friend of mine who chartered a boat, and I had another an American Rotary couple from my club, friends of mine, and two couples from Ottawa, Canada, that were going on this sailing trip too. And due to COVID, we have the pandemic working too, so nothing's really working in our favor right now, is it? We got to move forward. But because of the pandemic, we decided no, it's not a good idea. Vladimir's still going, and my relationship with Vladimir, this is a guy who is a member of a Rotary club in Yekaterinburg, Russia, who I was introduced to through a mutual friend here, who said that she had this businessman that wanted to work on his Russian, or his English rather. And would I commit to 10 weeks of talking with him for an hour each week? So that was the connection. And he and I got together online about a year ago right now, and really got to be really, really good friends. I've never been able to shake his hand, but I would call him one of my better friends at the moment. It really is a great guy. And he's the one that set up this charter. And so unfortunately, we're not going here at the end of the month, and it's been put on hold, and we'll try to get together elsewhere. But
thank you very much for being here. Our club now has a peace working group that includes, under its umbrella, our involvement with the ICCs. And we want to start with the RussiaUSA ICC in particular. And in that regard, I want to recognize David Fishman, who has done kind of the research for me, getting familiar with what you're doing. Anyway, we're looking forward to doing some kind of a kickoff project that will involve our club with the ICCs and yours in particular. Okay, so I want to mention that. So that's kind of a long-term commitment. And yes, we are working on the peace polls, but we want to do other things too. Yeah, so I want to mention that. And I think the ICCs are very important in terms of the third principle of the four-way test, creating goodwill and friendships, better friendships. So I commend you for your work. It's great to have you today, inspiring to hear about what you've done. And finally, we honor each of our speakers with the planting of a tree. It's a tradition we've had for some 30 years through something we call Trees for the Capital, which is now becoming Trees for the World. And we have a partnership here in DC with the National Park Service. The tree is planted Either it's a cherry blossom tree near the tidal basin, or it's a tree for one of our downtown parks. So you will get an invitation to our next tree planting. I know you're in Minnesota, but at least you will get a certificate
No.
symbolizing the fact our commitment to do so.
Very good. Thank you.
Right.